By now, we have a lot of knowledge on the half butterfly guard. We've learned the basics and the control, the sweeps, concepts, passing chains, passing concepts, transitions, transitional concepts. So now we're going to be looking at submissions. So submissions are the fun part of jiu-jitsu. And submissions often come by failed sweep attempts, failed transitional attempts, or after the transitional attempts, there might be opportunities for submissions. We're going to try to focus on submissions that we can do directly from the half butterfly guard, but then we're also going to look at a couple that we can tack off of the transition, like the toe holds, knee bars, straight ankle locks, etc. So we're going to start the series off with some cool guillotines, and we're going to talk about everything, guys. Guillotines, kimuras, omoplatas, cross collar chokes, a bunch of different things. So without further ado, I'll stop talking. Let's get into it. Now we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite submissions, which is the high elbow guillotine. We're going to be talking about how we get into it from the half butterfly guard, and then we're going to be discussing how we finish it. So let's get right into the high elbow guillotine. So, how do we enter the high elbow guillotine? Oftentimes it comes from a failed sweep attempt. So maybe I'm here trying to sweep my opponent and I'm unable to get it, right? Maybe I just want to create that reaction. I try to sweep and I don't get it. Okay? To set the high elbow up, I like to use a collar tie. But if I'm just sweeping, then I'm just going to try to sweep. So assuming that we're here, right, we have our control, we switch to the high collar tie, and we're going to try to sweep our opponent, okay, to his left-hand side, my right-hand side. As we sweep, we see that his head comes low, and we're going to slap his head into the high elbow guillotine. Guys, the high elbow guillotine, I want to get underneath his chin, somewhere in this general vicinity. I don't want his head too deep up near the forearm. I want his head, his trachea on the blade of my wrist. I want to make a fist with my hand, keep my thumb up, and my other hand I want to cup my hand like so. We're going to talk about the grip in a second. So I'm here, I go to sweep, I sit up to my elbow, and now look, I'm going to pass his head down, dig the guillotine, and fall back. Okay, I'm going slow for demonstration, and I don't want to break Ty's trachea. So this happens really quick, guys. So I'd be here, right? I sweep, and I come here. So, guys, the grip that I'm using is going to be my hand makes a fist, thumb facing up. My other hand, no thumb interlacing, is going to cup the top of my hand and here. The finishing mechanics are going to be to pull up as I crunch my body. So misconception with the high elbow guillotine is I see people flat. You want to make sure to crunch your body and engage your core as much as possible in order to finish the high elbow guillotine. Ideally, you don't really want to be able to see the back of his head. So a lot of people try to finish it flat, and it gives their opponent space to move their head and to get their head out. A good high elbow guillotine finish, and I know from experience, should be so tight that even if they're clenching their jaw and chin, it starts to literally grind their teeth together. I had a friend of mine who trained under Marcel who was so good at high elbow guillotines that if he got the high elbow guillotine, and even if your chin was tucked, he'd put so much pressure on your chin that he chipped my tooth. My mouth was completely closed and chipped my tooth. That's how much pressure you can create with the high elbow guillotine. So imagine that pressure being transferred directly to the trachea, and they're going to tap quickly if you get it well. So I'm here with Ty. I get the collar tie, and I start to sweep. Okay, I sit up to the elbow, and I'm going to transfer his head to my hand, and then I'm going to bring my left leg out and over his body, like so. I'm going to go slow. Okay, guys, I want to be crunched up so I can't see the back of his head, and I want to be looking away from my choking hand, like so. Okay, this leg comes over so that he can't jump over. Okay, my elbow is low. I bring it high, okay? If my elbow touches my knee, that's good. Keep myself crunched, lift up. It should take virtually no pressure, guys. What you don't want to do, come back down, is you don't want to be flat like this, okay? Because it's very easy for him to pull his head up, right? Even if you're just a little crunched, it can be hard. So you want to really sit up and be stuck to him. It's almost hard to demonstrate slowly because I can feel his trachea. And when you do it, I mean, guys, it's not a nice choke. It's a fast, really effective choke. You're strangling the guy. So again, we're here in the half butterfly, right? We get the collar tie, we sweep, come here, fall, and then I start to lift the elbow and finish. If you notice, guys, I'm retracting my right leg like we did with the sweeps, where we move him and we retract the right leg, and I'm bringing it across his body. My preferred finishing style is this foot hooks across the hip, this foot nice and high, this hand here right at about my chest, this hand here, and squeezing up. So when you bring his head into the equation, like so, bring the elbow and squeeze, guys. So one more time from this angle. So we're here, we get the half butterfly, we have the collar tie. We try to sweep him. Guys, if the guy falls without a posting hand because you shoved his head and tried to sweep him, beautiful. You get a sweep. Take it. But most likely he won't. So I come here, really shove his head, wrap, and then come up with the elbow and squeeze, guys. So one more time. We're here, right? I really grab that head and I shove as I extend my hook. Okay? Bring the head in. Look, my leg comes out. Okay? Throw the leg over. Crunched up. Guys, it's really hard to do slow. But when you create that movement on the initial sweep, there's a good chance if he fights it, his neck will be open. Whether or not you get the high elbow or a traditional arm and guillotine, it's personal preference which you prefer. I've kind of broken this down a couple times. I used to write articles for BJJ Fanatics. I actually wrote a whole article on this. And I think the high elbow guillotine is more of a sole submission threat, meaning if you go for the high elbow guillotine, you're kind of going for broke because you're focusing solely on neck control and you're trying to just squeeze the neck and get the finish. And I think it has higher finishing percentage because of that. When you go for the arm and guillotine, I think you're allowing yourself the opportunity to switch into different submissions and also to have more upper body control. Because you can use the arm and guillotine as head and arm control, and you can use head and arm control for butterfly sweeps. You can use it to come up. You can use it to start to attack and transition to the back. You can use it for anacondas, darces, etc., etc., etc. So I think the high elbow is kind of a more vicious choke and a better way to attack it, but you're going for broke, right? Whereas sometimes we'll go for the arm in. Let's come over here. Because maybe with the arm in, we're here, we have overhook, we go to sweep, it doesn't work, and we come here. Now I have the arm in. And although I don't think it's as good of a choke, personally, again, some people would beg to differ, I can start to switch, right? I can bring my legs back into the equation. I can start to sweep tie. I can start to come up, finish the choke from here. Now I can transition to the high elbow. So I think it gives me more freedom. Not saying that you can't do that with the high elbow, but it might be easier to do with the arm in. So whether or not you use the high elbow or the arm in, the mechanics remain the same. I grab, even with the arm in here, I start to squeeze up, I crunch my body, engage my core, I keep everything super tight. So maybe I have that overhook, right? I try to sweep, doesn't work. I come through here, pull up, and I squeeze. Guys, keeping everything super tight, guys. Everything super tight. I'm literally squeezing my right leg, my left leg, my core. I'm pinching my knees together, getting my head super tight, and pulling up on my grip. So you can use the high elbow, you can use the arm in, but just get good at timing the reaction of the failed sweep attempt to get that arm in. Meaning, not your arm in guillotine, your choking hand underneath the trachea, and really putting pressure there. Alright guys, so we just looked at the high elbow guillotine. Now we're going to be taking a look at the cross collar choke. I'm going to try to break down the actual submission mechanics as best I can, but I'm not going to spend an incredible amount of time breaking down the mechanics because this video series is on the half butterfly guard. So the purpose of the video is to show you how you can enter into different transitions, show you how to sweep, show you how to control, show you how to enter into submissions. And if you know how to finish them, that's awesome. You can utilize them better. But I'll try to break them down to the best of my ability. But now we're going to do the cross collar choke. I just don't want to get carried away and spend hours showing you guys all these different submission finishes because I'd rather show you how to get into the submissions and have a variety of submissions that you can get into than show you 3 or 4 submissions that I like to do and just break them down for hours. So the cross collar choke is funny because the cross collar choke, I call it the white belt killer. Because if a guy's training the gi and he's never trained, man, one of the easiest cross collar chokes you can do from the half butterfly is to grab your right hand in, okay, as deep as humanly possible. Guys, this first variation is like the very beginner variation to beat up the white belt spaz. Or even a good blue belt if they're pressuring in too much and they're just excited. But look, you open the collar, you grab super deep, palm up. When I say deep, I mean all the way past the tag. What do? They cross face you. Keep your hand tight here. Okay, they cross face and they pressure down. Now look guys, since my right hand is so deep, It takes barely anything in my left hand. I'm just going to karate chop his neck here, and I'm going to make a grip, pressure down. And then look, I'm just going to pull my right hand straight back. Now guys, what I'm doing without tie, so posture up, this grip is super deep. Okay, this hand is waiting for him to come low and chest to chest. When he comes low chest to chest, I'm going to karate chop, and look what I'm going to do. I'm going to push with that karate chop hand as I pull with this hand. Like I'm revving like a lawnmower or something. I'm going to pull as hard as I can. So I'm not squeezing together. I'm not flaring my elbows. I'm just pushing and pulling. So again, I'm here. I get the grip nice and tight. He pressures in. I'm here. And then I just pull. That's super tight, guys. Let's switch. Guys, remember, this is the very basic collar choke. So I'm here with the half butterfly. I extend. I get this grip super deep. He pressures in. Guys, look, my hand was here waiting. I just push here. Make a grip on the gi if I have it. And now look, I'm going to pull my right hand this way as I push my left hand this way. So my left hand goes this way, my right hand's pulling this way. Super tight, guys. That's like 2% pulling. If he comes low like this, it's going to be really hard. What his reaction is going to be is start to pull up. As he starts to pull up, I can follow and I can pull him down anyways. So that's our very rudimentary cross choke. Our second cross choke is going to be a little more advanced, and it's going to be predicated on getting a right hand, or a left hand, pardon me, frame on his collar, but with a deep grip. So we've talked about the basics in control being here. If we have the gi, we can either come palm down and grab across with our thumb inside, or palm up. Okay? If we go palm down, okay, we'll start with palm down. We're going to try to sweep him. I'm going to grab his arm. I'm actually going to try to sweep him. So I come and try to sweep. Let's say I can't get the sweep. Now when he comes back in, I'm going to bring my hand underneath, okay? My right hand came underneath and grabbed the collar grip. I'm going to clamp his leg with like an X, and I'm going to sit up as I pull him down to me like so. And I'm going to finish the choke. The key detail here is to sit up and into him and pull yourself to him. So we were in like this X clamp here and here. If I just start pulling him down, he's going to pull away. So follow him up and pull down. I want to get my ear to his ear, guys. That's going to be a critical detail for the cross collar choke here. So again, we're in the half butterfly. We have our frame, but this time we use the gi and we go thumb in. Okay, we try to sweep. It doesn't work. He comes back in. We draw our right leg out. Dig this grip up deep. Extend this clamp here that I have, like with my feet. Extend, sit up, and pull. And he's going to tap. It's a quick choke, guys. I hit it all the time, and it's a quick cross collar choke. Now we can do that same variation with our palm up. But this time my hand would go on top. So I try to sweep. I fail. I draw my leg out. He comes back. I come here. I sit up, and I pull my grips. The way that I'm finishing all these cross chokes is as I have that clamp and I sit up, I'm literally using him to sit up. It's literally hard to demonstrate without a partner because I use him to sit up. Like I pull myself up and I close my elbows super tight and dig my ear to his ear. I've had instances where I literally follow them all the way up into a standing position and finish them standing because they're just trying so hard to run away. So once you get those grips, it's so important to follow through. So you have that thumb in grip, you sweep, you fail, draw your leg out, this hand comes palm up, sit up, and start to pull him. And it's hard to sit up in this specific scenario because you need those grips. So one more time. I'm here and here. Let's say I already tried to sweep, I missed. I get the grips, okay? My leg had come out. I have that clamp. He's tight, he tries to run away. I sit up. Guys, I'm using these grips to sit up. I can't stress that enough. I can't sit up without them. It's literally hard. So I'm here and I use the grips to sit up. And then I choke him as I sit up. He's literally bearing all my weight as I'm sitting up into him and squeezing my hands as crazy as I can. Alright guys, so we just looked at a cross collar choke. We've looked at a high elbow guillotine. Let's look at another gi dependent choke, which is going to be the baseball bat choke. So the baseball bat choke is arguably one of the best chokes for the gi. And it's one of the few chokes that tends to put people to sleep very often. And why is that? It's because it's a choke that can be applied from an inferior position. So it's one of the few chokes that you can finish from bottom side control, bottom mount, and from if someone has your back. So we're going to look at this, but one of the best places to set up the baseball bat choke is going to be the half butterfly guard. Keep in mind, the baseball bat choke, although incredible when you first learn it because you start tapping people that are higher belt, when somebody's aware that you do it, it becomes increasingly difficult to actually finish the baseball bat choke. Because it's a choke that can be kind of simple to stop if they know it's coming. But if they don't know it's coming, it's very difficult to stop. So the baseball bat choke is going to be predicated on the element of surprise. Another thing to think about with the baseball bat choke is in Brazil, they call it the suicide choke. Because if you don't finish it, they're going to pass your guard for the most part. So I'm going to show you two variations. One is much safer, and the other is not as safe. So we're here in the half butterfly guard. Okay? The baseball bat choke. The way that I like to get the baseball bat grips is I like to grab one hand over, thumb inside. That's the first grip I like to attain. The other hand is still keeping him away. I can still push him a little. Okay? Now, when I'm ready to attack the baseball bat choke, I'm going to come with my palm up, and I'm going to grab this grip. So my grip is going to be like a baseball bat. Like so. The thing that you want to note is that you want to touch your pinky to your thumb. You don't want it to be loose. You want to be here. Just like a baseball bat. Okay, so you're here and here. Now, once you get these grips, if the guy is good, he's already going to know what you're doing. So the reason that this baseball bat choke tends to work a little bit better than others is because we have the assistance of the butterfly hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the best butterfly sweep I can do in the position that I'm in. So oftentimes when we butterfly sweep, we go to our side. But since I'm in this position, it might be difficult. So as I extend my left leg, I'm going to try to sweep and retract my right. When I sweep Ty, it's likely that he's going to come back into me, or I'm not going to sweep him that far. So I sweep, he comes back, and I'm going to turn away from Ty onto my side. Okay, as I continue to turn, I get the finish. Now, this is why we see people get choked to sleep, because Ty will start to seatbelt, and start to take my back, and they'll still be getting choked, and they don't realize it, because they're so into the back take. They're so preoccupied trying to attack you that, guess what? They go to sleep. Let's go back. But, so we're here. Guys, you want to sneak the top grip in first. Why? Because he can't see it. This grip he can see. So I'm here, I'm framing. Maybe he pressures in. As he pressures in, I get this second grip. Okay? Now I'm going to sweep him as hard as I can. It might be not that hard. It might be really hard. I'm just going to go for it. I turn, and I turn away. And right here I can finish by squeezing. Okay? I'm bringing my elbow up. I'm cutting him with my elbow as I continue to turn. The more I turn, the better. Okay, so let's look at a different angle. You alright? Yeah. Let's look at a different angle. So I'm here and here. I get this first grip. Maybe he pressures in. I get the second grip. Okay, I'm going to extend him as much as I can with that hook. Turn. Now, guys, look. Squeeze, and you get the tap here. Okay, so this is my choke. I'm pulling away, and I keep pulling him to me. Try to not have an extension of your arms. Try to keep your arms very tight, elbows in, or the baseball bat choke's not going to be as effective. Now, one more variation of the baseball bat choke that's safer but very difficult is to do this. If you're able to actually sweep him, because some people know you have the baseball bat, so they kind of fall to the sweep. Exactly. So look, we do one of those passes where we pummel over, come up here, and now we can start to attack the baseball bat choke from top, here, circling, and finishing here. I'm not going to break down the baseball bat choke from top, but just know that if you sweep with baseball bat choke grips, keep them. Because it's a more effective choke from top than it is from bottom. Because from the top position, you're not sacrificing so much. You go for the baseball bat, if you don't get it, that's okay. From the bottom position, the reason that the Brazilians call it the suicide choke is because if I don't get the choke, he's either going to rip my arm off in an arm bar, or he's going to pass my guard. So to show you what that looks like, what a lot of guys will do, go on bottom, is when they get the baseball bat grips. So this one here, and this one here. Okay, he gets the grips. I know he's going to get the grips, so when he goes to sweep me, step over, and they start to attack the near side arm bar, so that's something to be aware of. And keep your grips. If he has the grips and I pass, they just start to pummel the elbow and hold, and eventually he gives up, and guess who got the pass? Me. So if you go for the baseball bat choke, just know it's 50-50. You're either going to choke the guy out, or you're going to get your arm taken, or your guard passed from bottom. So now that we've looked at a bunch of different collar chokes, baseball bat chokes, guillotine chokes, let's switch and let's start attacking the arm a little bit. So the first technique that we're going to look at with the arm locks is going to be the inverted straight arm lock. That's what some people call it. Some people call it the gable grip arm lock, etc. But we're basically going to be attacking a different variation of the arm lock. So let's take a look. So I'm here with Ty. We're in the half butterfly. For this scenario, we're either getting smashed or we're not. But what ends up happening is if he's smashing me, he's got this head control, and I'm going to be attacking this arm. Okay? When I attack this arm, guys, it's very important, more than ever, to retract that bottom leg. We have mentioned over and over that as we extend the butterfly hook, we retract the bottom leg. In this case, it's so important because I need to get my bottom leg to his hip and shoulder area. Okay, so watch. I'm going to go slow. So I'm here. I'm going to extend Ty, retract the leg, okay? And I'm going to grab this arm, gable grip, and I want to get just beneath the elbow, okay? I want to get right on the tricep, ideally. I do not want to pass the elbow and go to the forearm. So it's going to be like this. As I do, I'm going to hike his arm up to my shoulder, much like we hike the leg up for the X-guard. So come to here. Okay? Guys, as I bring the arm up, my left leg needs to go to his hip. That's very, very important. Hip or inside of the leg. Okay? My right knee needs to clamp very tight. Now, I want to take my gable grip, keep it very tight, keep my arm very tight here so he can't move his wrist, and I'm going to press down. But guys, it's very important. Let's turn. It's very important that there's space between his elbow and the mat or my chest. A lot of people try this arm lock, but they're flat and they're squeezing as hard as they can here, but they're never going to get the break because there's no room. I've seen people tap to a tricep slicer from here. It hurts, right? It hurts. Yeah. But it probably won't tap a really tough guy. To tap the tough guy, you got to have this space, guys. Look how much space I just added. I just added about a foot of space between his elbow and the mat. Now, if I assist my hands with my knee and push my knee onto his shoulder, and now I have opposing forces. His shoulder's pushing down. My neck is pushing his wrist up. So I'm going like this on his arm, and at the same time, I'm crushing the elbow. It's very easy to get the finish here, guys. So again, it's important that my left leg is on his hip. My right leg is up here. My left leg is on his hip to keep him away. He tries to pressure into me. I keep him away, right? Both my legs keep him away. All the while, I finish. Okay, so big mistake. Don't do this, guys. You might tap people to a tricep lock, but don't expect to tap somebody who's tough and really good. Come to your side. Use your knee. Keep this foot on the hip. Maintain pressure. Push the knee down as you push the neck up. Add those opposing forces, clamp on the elbow, and you get the finish very, 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 very easily. So let's look at it again. From here, so we're here. Maybe we're not getting smashed and we just want to go for it. We come into this position. Okay, draw the left leg out. Right knee comes to the shoulder and squeeze. Okay, so slowly. It's hard to do slowly. We're here in this position. Guys, I'm going to dive under. Make the gable grip. Guys, again, the two movements that we did in the beginning of this series, which is extending the left leg, retracting the right leg, and moving the hips, are all in play here. So look, I extend the left leg, retract the right leg, and move the hips as I hike his arm up. I did a complete redirection with my hips. I was on my right hip to start, and I end on my left hip. Okay? Now draw the left leg out, knee comes up, and we get the finish here, guys. It's a quick move, and that move, being honest, is very difficult to learn. It's something that you definitely have to drill, but when you get that move down, it's a killer in the gym. It works super, super well, because whether or not you actually get the arm, you can go into traditional arm lock finishes, which I'm going to show next, and you can start to follow up with butterfly sweeps, arm drags, and different back takes. So it's an excellent move because it works so well in the gi and no gi. Alright guys, so we just looked at the inverted arm lock and discussed the finishing mechanics of it and basically the application of it. It's a hard move to do, but we're going to follow up on that and we're going to use the inverted arm lock position to set up the regular arm bar. So the regular arm bar is a little bit more difficult, but if I'm being genuinely honest, percentage-wise on finishing rates, I finished it more as a submission than I do the inverted arm lock. Typically when I shoot the inverted arm lock, I get sweeps, back takes, or this arm lock off of that. That's not to say that I don't finish that arm lock. It's just to say that it creates kind of that chaos that we're looking for where we can capitalize. So let's look at that. So we're here in the half butterfly, okay? We already went over how we set it up. So whether he's smashing us, we get the gable grip, we turn, we draw the left foot out, and now we're here. Whatever happens to create this scenario, one thing that's very important to note is that my left leg, can you posture up, has to be either on the inside of his thigh or his hip. I have to have my left leg out. Now, whether or not I go for this just because I want to, or I go for this because he draws his hand inside, like so, it doesn't really matter. If he draws his hand inside, I have to be prepared for that, right? So if he draws his hand inside, I mentioned back takes. Sometimes I'll come up through and start to attack the back, right? So that's a viable option. But something that I like to do, and since we're talking about submissions, is as he comes in, I keep tight on his elbow. So this hand is cupping the back of his elbow. This hand is cupping the inside. Okay? Now look what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to lift my hip using both my feet. So my left foot and my right foot are going to allow me to lift my hip. That's very important, guys. Okay? Once I lift my hip, my right knee is going to come across his head. Okay? Now look, I'm going to roll over, and end up here. Now, guys, if I want, it's hard to see right now on the camera, but I can finish the arm lock here. Or my opponent can roll through. As he rolls through, I allow him to roll, follow through, and I get the traditional arm lock finish. So let's look at it from a different angle. So again, we were here in the half butterfly. We attack the inverted arm lock. We come to here and here. Maybe I just want to go for this myself, so I initiate it. So I come up through, lift the hip, my knee comes across. Guys, I pin here. Now I'm going to change directions and look the other way. Now look, I can finish the arm lock here by extending. Now if he rolls, I allow him to roll, follow through for the arm bar, and then we go for our traditional arm lock finish. So guys, let's look at it from another angle. Guys, all this is predicated on getting to that inverted arm lock. So however I get there, I come through right here. Maybe I just transition, come through. So from here, you can see how I can finish that regular arm lock, guys. Can you move your legs to the side? So look, yeah. I can extend, and I'm on the elbow, guys. From here, there's a bunch of stuff. You can do wrist locks and different things. You can even control him from rolling if you just control his pants. Now he tries to roll, I keep the extension, right? And then I can finish here. So guys, the technique is difficult to do initially, but when you understand foot placement and how you elevate your hip, it's actually not that difficult, and you can use this armbar finish from a bunch of different places. So check it out, see if you like it. Thanks, guys. Alright guys, so we're building our submissional arsenal up and opening up some options. So we got high elbow guillotines, cross collar chokes, baseball bat chokes. Now we're going to be looking at inverted arm locks, regular arm locks. We're going to be looking at 3 Kimura variations. Now they're not Kimura finishes because in my opinion, and I'll explain with some preface here, the Kimura is not solely a submission. It's actually much more than that. The Kimura control is much more than a submission. It's a position, right? It's something that it's a grip sequence that you can utilize to sweep, to pass, to take the back, to counter, etc. So the 3 Kimura variations are going to be 1 Kimura finish, 1 arm lock finish, and 1 wrist lock finish. So without further ado, I'll stop talking. Let's get into it. So all of our Kimura variations are going to be, let's turn just a little bit more this way. All of our Kimura variations are going to be based off of getting the grip, right? Attaining the grip. Actually, let's turn this way, like 1 inch. Yeah. Okay, so we want to grab the wrist. Whether you grab with an interlaced finger or not, I honestly don't mind. I think it's personal preference. In this case, initial control, I typically grab with an interlaced finger, but I don't stick to one thing. I just grab whatever I can. If this is what's easier at the time or this is what's easier at the time, I'll take it. Now, I have the half butterfly, so my left hand is going to come up and over onto the Kimura grip. Something I learned from a good friend of mine, named Marcelo Cohen, who has a bunch of instructionals solely on the Kimura and is a no-gi black belt, PANS champion, EBI vet, is that he likes to grab the Kimura grip low, just above the elbow. So contrary to where a lot of people grab, which is high above the shoulder, he doesn't like any shoulder play. So he likes to go here, low on the elbow. Okay, so I like to do that. So guys, our first variation of the Kimura, a lot of times what do people try to do? They try to lift up and out. right? So he tries to posture up, and it's really hard because I have a good grip. So when he tries to posture up, guys, I want to bring my butterfly hook out and hip escape, and then I'm going to bring my knee through like a shield on his head. I'm going to push him away with my knee, and then I'm going to throw my leg over to the hip. Guys, depending on dexterity issues, whether or not you have the capability to get your leg all the way there, if you just keep your leg heavy here, that's fine. Okay, as long as your leg is weighted, because what's the purpose of my leg? We have to understand the purpose of why we're using it. I don't want him to posture up. All right, so I try to keep him down. If I bring my leg here, I can keep him planted, but he might posture, but that's okay because I keep his shoulder. So if I leave my leg here, I'm controlling his head posture. If I leave my leg here, it's to control his shoulder. He can never get his shoulder out anymore. So once we get here, guys, I like to put my foot on the hip. Guys, my bottom foot is hooking really tight. We'll change the angle in a second. At this point, I'm going to break his grip. To break his grip, I bring my chest to his elbow, and I shake, shake, shake. Okay, once I shake, I'm going to bring his thumb to my shin, and I'm going to slide his thumb up my shin until I get the tap. Okay, so again, we're here. He grabs a grip. I get tight, shake, 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 and then I start to go for the Kimura finish here. So that's our first variation. Guys, it's very important, let's go back to half butterfly, that we're able to get our butterfly hook out. Guys, sometimes we come, let's turn this way. Sometimes we come through like this and then push away and then over. But sometimes if we're not able to bring our butterfly hook through, we're going to go out and around. So there's going to be two paths that our butterfly leg is going to take to get to where it needs to be. So initially, if I get the Kimura grip and I can bring my leg here, that's going to be the easier method. But if for some reason I can't bring my leg through, then I'm just going to straighten it and bring it around this way. But I just want to make sure to get my leg there. So one more time, I have the butterfly hook. I bring my knee close to my shoulder, slide it up, push with the knee, extend, come to the hip. Shake, 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 start to finish here. So let's look at this footwork facing the camera. Guys, it's very important when you do this that once you get your Kimura grip, your bottom hook has to be really tight. Your right foot in this case. You see my right foot, how it's really tight? Has to be really tight. My knee comes inside here. I bring it up, I push him away, and my leg comes over. Okay? So let's change the angle one more time here. So now let's try to focus on my left knee. So I have my Kimura grip. And look, my knee folds, comes through, pushes on the head, and comes around. Guys, this is probably a submission sequence that I hit most often from the half butterfly guard. I always go into this Kimura sequence from here. Always, 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 always. And then I shake, 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 and then I finish the Kimura here. Now, what happens if I can't finish the Kimura? Guys, I have a lot of options. If I can't break the grip for something, I'm going to bring my left leg all the way through, and I'm going to hook his far leg. I'm going to pinch my knees, because now my knees are clearly pinched beneath the elbow. So since they're pinched beneath the elbow, I'm going to shake, shake, shake that grip again. I'm going to transfer to the wrist control, and I'm going to finish the arm lock here. I like to pull the arm lock at an angle where I have more break on the elbow. So look at his thumb is facing downwards diagonally, so I pull his arm diagonally. I don't want to pull it straight because it can be hard to get the break here sometimes, so I prefer to just pull up. Now, if I can't get the arm lock, oftentimes what I like to do from here is go for the wrist. I can double up on the wrist and pull down, or I can make a figure four grip. I much prefer to double up on the wrist, cup just above the knuckles, and pull down on his wrist as I get the tap. So I have a bunch of different variations, submissions that I can do. So let's change the angle. All this is predicated on getting a good Kimura grip and getting my knee out. So I get a good Kimura grip, I bring this knee here, slide it inside, pull, push his face with my shin, and come through to the hip. First variation, shake, 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 finish. Second variation, shake, 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 bring the leg through, go for the arm, and finish. Third variation, go for the Kimura, or go for the wrist lock, and finish the wrist lock. But very important how I move my left leg, guys. One more time from this angle. So I'm here. Guys, look. I bring my leg out, in, through, push, and come to here. You have so much opportunity here, guys. So much opportunity. You can even go for traditional arm locks at this point. You can come through here, bring it in here, start to attack his arm in this position. There's a bunch of different options because you're kind of isolating yourself singly or solely to one arm. You're just locking yourself on that thing like an anaconda and trying to rip it off. Being a small person, I love this variation of the Kimura and the arm lock because, like I said, I'm isolating that one arm so much and I'm using so many different things to be able to break the grip. Placing my foot on that hip allows me to keep him away from me really, really well. So try it out, guys, and see what you think. So now we've looked at a bunch of different Kimura variations. We've looked at guillotine chokes, cross collars, and a bunch of stuff. Now I'm going to show you some omoplata variations. I'm a big fan of the omoplata, not even so much as a submission finish, but I use it to sweep people a lot. I use it to get to triangles, arm bars, etc. But some people are really good at the omoplata, as we've seen in competitive history, like Clark Gracie and others, Bernardo Faria, my coach. So some of the omoplata variations I've learned from him and others I've just come up with. So we're going to look at 3 different variations. So the first one, these are all going to play off of things we've done except for one. So the first one's going to be based off of that gable grip inverted arm lock attempt where we go like this. Okay? Guys, oftentimes when we're here in this position, trying to attack the arm, as long as we draw our feet to the hips, we're going to have a lot of opportunity. Like I told you, we can go into that arm lock that we did, or we can go into the omoplata. I can move myself out as I punch his hand to the wrist here. Okay? I fold his wrist in towards my pocket, and I make sure to have a cup grip on his elbow so that he can't get his elbow out. Now look, I'm going to throw my leg over, and I'm actually going to keep my leg, let's turn this way. I'm actually going to keep my leg heavy here because I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a different omoplata finish. Right here, I'm going to start to come up, and I'm going to extend my right leg, and I'm putting weighted pressure on my knee like this, and I can get the finish here. Because it's low risk, I always like to say I marinate the guy. I try to finish them here by extending my leg, guys. I'm extending my leg. If it doesn't work, guess what? We start to go into traditional omoplata. I'm not risking too much by doing that, right? So, again, we're in the half butterfly, right? We attack the inverted arm lock, try to go for it. We're not able to. Switch, come through, go for the omoplata. Try to finish him here by sitting up and extending. If I get the finish, beautiful. If not, I start to come for the traditional omoplata position. So one more time from a different angle. So predicated on the gable grip. So again, guys, I come through. Boom, I scoop. Extend him. Draw the left leg out. Guys, the transition is important. I have his arm, but I feel like he's going to get it out. So I swim in, and I bring it here. Okay? Whether I swim in and grab his wrist, or whether I just swim in and just bring his arm into my armpit, it doesn't matter. But notice that the whole time my left hand is cupping the elbow so he can't get out. I don't want him to get his elbow away. Now that I'm here, my leg is free. It's very mobile. I bring the left leg through. Lock here. I can sit up as I extend. Guys, I'm sitting up and pushing his wrist up as I push down with this, and I finish the omoplata here a lot. Okay, if that doesn't work, we sit up into the traditional omoplata finish. So that's our first variation. One more time. We're here. The gable grip, we extend, swim, and then throw over. Okay? Now, let's look at another variation. Let's switch sides. So now we're going to play off of the Kimura grip. If you notice, we're building off of the positions that we are somewhat familiar with. So now I'm going to get the Kimura grip. Okay? I'm going to bring this knee in, through like we did in the last technique, and to here. Okay? I come to the hip. Now look what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to extend my back as I draw my right leg out. Simultaneously as I draw my right leg out, I let go of the Kimura grip. But I keep his elbow. I'm kind of in like a monoplata position where sometimes you can finish a monoplata. But I'm going to switch here. Bring that leg over. I can try to finish here or sit up into the traditional omoplata. So again, guys, we're here. We get the Kimura grip, right? We're trying to finish here. We bring our knee in, through. Maybe he's got a good grip. We don't think we're going to be able to finish. So look, we start to finagle our leg through. Switch the figure 4. Grab the belt. Get heavy. and we start to attack the omoplata. Guys, the omoplata is such a good variation to sweep, to attack different submissions. So one more time, let's just do it from here. We're here and here, we get the Kimura, bring our knee in, leg comes over. Maybe this time we can't break that grip. So look what I do, I bring my knee out and up. See how my knee comes through that hole? Bring my foot to the hip. And now look guys, I'm just gonna do a total change of direction. Right now my legs are facing this way, we're gonna switch face this way. As I do a sit-up. And then I control his belt. One last omoplata variation is gonna be a little bit different because we're gonna be attacking his underhook arm. So let's turn it this way. So, in this case, he has the underhook. Okay? We have the half butterfly and we're keeping him away. We're going to maintain our overhook control. It's very important here, guys, that I cup his bicep. Guys, anytime he has the underhook, a low underhook like this, so not a high underhook, and he's kind of backing off a little bit, I can start to attack the omoplata. Why? Because he's kind of off to the side, so I can isolate this arm easily. So my right leg is going to draw to his hip. Okay? And now look, my left leg is just going to pummel out. We'll change the angle in a second. And guys, I'm just going to do a full change of direction again. My feet are facing this way. I'm going to change and my feet are going to be facing this way. Some of you might ask, do you have a triangle opportunity? Potentially. But guys are pretty privy to triangles. And oftentimes in defending the triangle, they forget about the omoplata. So if I feel like he's going to defend the triangle by clamping here, that's fine. I come through, lock the omoplata. Sit up and start to attack. So one more time. We're here in this position. We get the overhook. We have the half butterfly. We draw out, right? If we want, remember that knee push that we learned in the sweeps? Great variation to knee push and get the omoplata quick. Extend. Come through. Sit up and start to attack the omoplata. So let's look at it from a different angle. So we're here, guys. He's got a low underhook, right? His pressure's low. Good. He's pressuring with his head instead of his cross face. That's fine, guys. We draw the right leg out. Okay? Pummel. Pummel. Come out. I extend him a little. Guys, it's very important that once I pummel and I extend, I straighten my back like a loaded spring, like so. But I don't lose control of the arm. Make sure you're holding it. Over. Lock. Extend. And sit up. So, pretty easy omoplata setups in a sense if you understand the mechanics of the things that we were doing prior to seeing this. The last one's a little bit different because we haven't been working off of that, but that low underhook position is very popular for people to pass with, so we need to have a counter for that, and the counter is going to be the omoplata. And the reason that I'm not showing the triangle is because it's hard to triangle a good guy. Typically the low underhook position, from my experience, is somebody who's experienced. They're keeping their weight off, they don't want to get butterfly swept, they're actually doing the right thing. And so in order to get a triangle on a guy like that, if you see the triangle, by all means, 1,000,000% go for it. But if he starts to control your ankles and stuff, go for that omoplata. Now that we've focused a lot on the upper body, omoplatas, kimuras, wrist locks, arm locks, chokeholds, etc., a bunch of different stuff. I'm trying to touch on a lot of different ground here and not go too in depth. We're going to take a look at the lower body a little bit, and we're going to be looking at some knee bars, toe holds, ankle locks. So the first thing in the sequence that we're going to be looking at is the toe hold. So let's just get right into it. So guys, I'm here with Ty and the half butterfly. It's important to know, guys, in order to attack the toe hold or the knee bar or the ankle lock or the heel hook, we have to have that transitional period where we go into ashi. That has to happen. There's no way that we can attack them from here. So our first sequence is going to be predicated on being able to get to ashi, which is pretty easy from here. Remember, we can grab the pants if we have the gi. We're going to scoot in underneath him as we turn our hip. Right now his weight is on our knee, and we're going to push Ty away. And we're going to get to here. Okay, so now that we've established our single leg X Ashigarami, my left foot is hooking his far leg, my knee is pinched to my heel, and my hamstring is squeezing his knee line. So when I make this knee to heel connection and I squeeze his knee line, it's hard for Ty to get his knee out. He tries to pull his knee out, and it's really hard. Okay, I'm stuck to Ty. So now, what do I need to do to start to attack his toe hold? I need to create exposure on his foot by taking it off of the mat. If his foot is on the mat, I have problems. So if we're IBJJF competitors, we can't reap the knee in order to create that exposure, right? If you're not, you can reap the knee, but I actually prefer not to here. I prefer just to turn my hip. I prefer to be more dependent on my hip than to start immediately reaping. So for example, I'm going to be here. I'm going to grab the top of his knee, if you guys can see here, and I'm going to turn myself this way. Okay? Now guys, my first attempt at the toe hold is quick, and it can be kind of brutal sometimes because initially I don't want them to know I'm going for it. I grab the top of the toes, and I'm going to extend my arm quickly as I use my knees to pinch and push my hip in like so. That's my first attempt. It's a one-handed single attempt. I always say I'm marinating people. I want to see what the guy's capable of defending. A lot of people will tap here. A lot of people are scared of leg locks. They think that like leg locks are just going to kill them right away. When in reality, you can be technical and you can roll with them and escape them. So when you grab the foot, as soon as you go here, some people will just tap. But guys, the trick here is to turn your body and extend your arm. And I want to bring his toes to his butt. I'm grabbing tight at the top of the toes, extending, and trying to get straight armed. Right here. Okay? Now, obviously, if this isn't working, I have a good grip. So I want to capitalize. So as I continue to turn, I'm going to bring my hand in figure 4. Guys, if my opponent does nothing, he's in huge trouble. Why? Because I have his knee isolated, his knee is bent, and my goal is to bring his big toe up to his butt. So if I can make this figure 4 grip, guys, the finishing mechanics are not going to be on my right hand anymore. It's going to be on my left elbow pulling up, like so. So look, I'm here, I pull my left elbow up, and I use my whole body like a steering wheel to turn. I see so many people trying to push the toes, push the toes, push the toes. Look how much Ty's fighting it as I push the toes. But watch what happens if I pinch my knees and turn my body and elbow. Finishes it very quickly. So guys, people are so adamant about pushing. And Ty's flexible feet, it's hard. But look, if I just pinch the knees and turn, he's going to tap, guys. Okay? So that's our first attack on a very, very rudimentary toe hold. Just to show you more than anything that the option is there to enter into it. Right? So again, we're in the half butterfly. I have good frames. I grab his pants. I scoot underneath. Okay, now his weight's on my knee. I push him away. I start to turn. And guys, right away I grab the foot, making everything tight. Remember, my first one is to marinate. I try to get it. Maybe I finish, maybe I don't. Second one, I make the connection, turn my body, open my elbow, and I can get the finish. Okay? We're going to be looking at what to do if he rolls, and we're going to be attacking the knee bar in a second. So one more time from a different angle. Let's go over here. So guys, we're here. We scoot underneath. It's so important to scoot underneath. Push. Guys, start to attack right away. Start to turn the knee. Grab the top of the toes. Try to finish here. You can finish a lot of people here. If he doesn't tap here, start to make the connection. Figure 4 grip. Start to turn and finish, guys. Again, there's a huge misconception with toe holds that it's all about bringing the big toe just to his butt. If I bring his toe to his butt as much as I want, it's going to be hard to finish, but watch what happens if I just turn my back. It's going to finish here, guys. So try to implement that. I love toe holds. I think it's a super underutilized submission, especially in the gi. And so many people are so scared of heel hooks. I've popped my knee way more than toe holds. So toe holds are just as bad if you know how to apply them. So try it out, but be safe, guys. Alright guys, so we just started delving into the lower body a little bit. Like I said, I want to touch a lot of ground so you guys can see all the opportunity. So we're going to go back into that toe hold scenario where we're in Ashigarami single leg X, and we're going to see how to react with a knee bar when our opponent rolls. So we're here in the half butterfly guard, right? I scoop myself underneath. I pull through to the Ashigarami. I start to come here, and I start to attack his foot. Sometimes guys get frantic and they start to roll. Yep, just like that. Okay, if he starts to roll, guys, I just draw my legs out and I end up in a really good knee bar. But it's important here, guys, when we get into this knee bar position, I want to keep my knees pinched and my heels down. Okay, but more important than anything is I don't want him to be able to turn his foot. I want to limit the rotation of his foot because ultimately that limits the rotation of his leg and his knee. So what do? I bring his toes up to my head and I clasp the top of his toes with my head like so. Okay, I have to make good connection here. Now he tries to turn his foot. It's very, very difficult. It's not impossible, right? It can definitely happen. But now I think there's a multitude of different grips I can use. I can go rear naked choke grip, and I can turn the heel a little bit more. Right? I've seen people grab the top of the heel and start to extend on the knee. Okay, I can just extend here one-handed. There's a little bit more. I like to add a little bit of foot and knee rotation by pulling on that heel and then extending. Because then it takes far, 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 far less. And it becomes almost like, in a sense, like a heel hook finish. So let's look at it again. So we're here. We scoop underneath, push him away. When we start to attack the toe hold, he rolls. Guys, look. I have to draw that left leg out, okay? Now, I would let go of the toe hold, grab, and then bring my head to the top of the toes. My right hand would grab the top of the heel. Make this hand to bicep connection. Turn the heel. Extend. Very, 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 very easy to finish. Like 2% of my extension strength is being used. So one more time. Let's try to go slow on the roll. Okay? Yep. Let's try to go slow on the roll so that we can see what we're doing with our legs. So we're here. Guys, even if you grab his foot and he starts to roll, go slow. Guys, look, I have to bring this leg out. Okay? Now I open my legs, let him roll through, pass the foot, and then look, I come here. Guys, you really want to get his toes on your head. And you really want to grab the heel, turn the heel, and then start to extend. I know from experience that this works really well because I tore my MCL in a competition with the exact same knee bar finish. So it's super effective. That's not a bad thing. It's part of the game. But definitely try it out. But with that one, be safe as when you're turning the heel with your opponent. So try it out, guys. Alright guys, now that we've been delving into the lower body a little bit, we've looked at a toe hold and a knee bar. We're going to be looking at the finish that I think most of you are going to be able to utilize quickly and implement pretty easily, which is the straight ankle lock finish. Straight ankle lock is legal at all tournaments among all belts, if I'm not mistaken. And it's another severely underutilized and misconceived position because a lot of people give up on it because they see high-level guys like the Mendez brothers, the Miyao brothers never tapping the leg locks. But let me tell you something. 90% of people in your academy will probably tap to a good straight ankle lock if it's applied properly. Okay, that hyper dexterity and hyper flexibility comes coupled with the fact that you're seeing this at the pinnacle of the sport with guys that have everything on the line. The straight foot lock is a super viable option to tap people out, and it works super well. So without me talking too much, let's get into it. So I have the half butterfly guard. Okay, everything is the same. We're entering into Ashigarami. I scoop myself underneath. Guys, that scoot is the most important detail to get to Ashi. And then I turn him, and I get to here. Guys, the difference with the straight ankle lock is that the straight ankle lock, I have to attack it when he falls. Okay, so we have to add a little bit of sweeping mechanics. So oftentimes when we get into the single leg X or the Ashi, it's very common that my opponent stands up. Okay, when they stand up, so I have to time my sweep so that as soon as he stands up, I have my knees pinched, my hip is very high, and I buck my opponent to the side. If I can grab his far pants, it's always better. If I don't have access to his pants, I can put my hand on the mat, use it to lift my hip even higher, and I'm going to do this exterior knee rotation on his leg to make him fall like so. Okay? Now I'm on the proper side to start attacking my foot lock. Guys, the reason he falls, stand back up, just to touch on the sweep a little bit, is it's very similar to a low single in wrestling. So I used to wrestle a lot, and when you do a low single, you come here and you push the knee out and you fall. So the mechanics are very similar. Let's go back to half butterfly. When I get into the half butterfly, I pull into the Ashi, I come to here, starts to stand up, I extend, and I make his knee go out. And now I can start to attack the foot lock. Okay, so that's going to be our entry point. But first, let's look at how we attack the foot lock. Can you sit right in front of me just in butterfly? So guys, the way that we're going to attack the foot lock is I urge you to try to learn the mechanics first. I want to try to actually threaten a break on his metatarsals and on his ankle rather than an Achilles pain or strain. So the Achilles strain is going to be the more common way you finish. But when you try to apply it properly, it's going to be even stronger. So the idea here is going to be simple. I want to pinch the top of his toes in my armpit like so, and I want to grab a relatively shallow grip. I want his Achilles at the bottom of his heel right here on my wrist. Okay? Now, What I'm going to do after that is I'm going to lift his leg up as high as I can, and I'm going to pinch my elbow back. I'm not a fan of using the gi at all. I think it limits your mobility. So I like to just grab the same grip as a guillotine, like so. Okay, so I'm going to be here. I'm going to lift. I'm going to roll the elbow back, and I'm going to grab here. So practice doing this here. Okay, now when we get this grip where we're crunching the back of his toes, it's going to be easier to finish when we actually take this grip and we fall, because what we're doing is we're putting all our body pressure on his feet and we're making his toes crunch up like so. Okay, so we fall here. I still have my guillotine grip. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to make contact with the mat, and I'm just going to start to extend, and I can finish. So again, I'm here, here, extend, and I finish. Guys, it's an extension of your back that's going to give you the ankle lock finish. Don't just try to rip up on your grips from here. Just start to slowly extend your back, and you'll get the finish. Now, combine the extension of your back with pinching your knees and your hips, and now you're going to get a much stronger finish. So I'm here and here, hip in, and extend, and I can get the finish much easier. That's very, very, very little of my strength to get the finish. So if I'm really extending my back as much as I can, and just going all the way back, I have so much more reach that I can go to. And guys, if he doesn't tap to the initial footlock, he'll eventually start to feel the Achilles. Whether or not you get the submission, it's going to differentiate on people's personal dexterity levels. But try, so hard to show with the gi, try to pinch the foot here, get the grips nice and tight, fall into it, start to extend, pinch your knees, and get the finish here. Okay, so one more time. We're in the half butterfly. We grab the pants, scoot underneath, extend. He starts to posture up. We sweep, right? I get my grip, adjust my grip. I grab high on the hand, and then look, I pinch my knees. My left foot is hooking far here. My heel is tight to my knee. My head is down. I hip in, and now I start to extend, and I can get the finish here, guys. So one more time, I'm just extending and sliding, and I'm going to get the finish here. And I still have a bunch of room to go on that extension. So although a lot of people give up on ankle locks relatively quickly, they work really well in the gi and in no gi. I think they work much better in no gi because they can't just grab your lapel and hold you there. That's always kind of the death of the straight ankle lock guy in the gi. People just hug your lapel and they won't let go. But learn to break those grips and it'll work, guys.